Hello there, this is Sandy Rowley, one of the top SEO experts in the world. This is my first live stream on YouTube um, on 9/11/2022. So I'm testing YouTube Live's ability to rank for very competitive keywords in Google search. So I'm going after the largest by search volume keyword in my industry, which is SEO. So I'm going to talk about SEO and see if I can influence the algorithm to at least position this video as number one for the keyword SEO within YouTube. I'm also going to look and see if it gets picked up in 24 hours by the Google search engine. So I have a number of other SEO strategies that I implement to safely rank a website or a piece of content in Google search. I'm also exploring Bing and Firefox in Safari. But for now, I'm focusing on Google search and Google SEO. Why am I focusing on Google SEO? Well, Google has the most users out of any of the search engine browsers online today. So in my industry and with the clients that I provide SEO services for, I need to focus on the top or the best search engines that are available. And right now, that's Google. I am interested in playing around with creating personas of people that use other search engines like Bing or Firefox or Safari, and then creating a persona of these people, and then figuring out what type of content resonates with them and how that search algorithm works for that individual search engine, and then running these same tests for them. So I have my screen blacked out because I want to talk a little bit about Black Hat SEO. So what is Black Hat SEO? Black Hat SEO is seen as some nefarious or maybe shady ways of ranking a website or a piece of content number one for a very relevant and or competitive keyword phrase. And if you ask, okay, so it sounds like it's really good. If it works, if Black Hat SEO still works, why not always use it? Well, here is the issue. As with anything in life, when you take a shortcut, you're usually going to have a backlash on the end of whatever delayed or success that you get. It's going to be delayed. It's not going to last for very long. So you can rank number one for a very competitive keyword in your industry in like 2 weeks. It used to be 24 hours. Now it's 2 weeks. But what happens is this: Google's algorithm is, getting better and better, obviously, right? It's Google, come on now. And what happens is, for those SEO experts throughout history that have figured out these tricks and used established black hat strategies, and I'll talk a little bit more about what established black hat SEO strategies are in a little bit. But for those SEO experts that implement those strategies and have some level of success, especially if they're mentioned a lot in forums and on Twitter, that, oh, way to go, well, you're a badass, you're this, you're that, because you're a black hat SEO guru. The algorithm listens to all of this and analyzes it, whether they do it instantly or within a couple of weeks or a couple of months. The algorithm pieces all of this together. So when they do that, that person's name is forever related to black hat SEO or nefarious activities. And that's the last thing that you want to do. So people that, I'm not going to say who they are because I kind of look up to them. I think they're the Robin Hoods of the SEO experts. But I follow them, and I'm not, again, I'm not going to share their names. And they're still actively providing SaaS products or other SEO services behind closed doors, if you will. But they're not really ranking for any SEO related keywords anymore, but they're doing all the things, right? But it doesn't matter. So In my experience in providing SEO services and using SEO for my own businesses for 24 years, I've learned that it's not worth it. It might be fun for you to play around with different brand names other than your brand and see what you can get away with and see what still works. And that's great. But if you were to provide those services to actual clients, then that is something that is opening up a door to where you're going to regret it for a very long time. Unless you want to change your name legally and start over. Right? So I guess you could do that. I know a lot of people that get banned on Facebook for running ads. They have to do something similar. They change their business name, or they actually change their name and get a different credit card or a different account. There's a number of ways that you can get around this, but Facebook is notorious for banning small ad accounts and large ad accounts for that matter. And so, a little trick that people use is just to change their business name or use a different credit card or a different PayPal account or a different Stripe account, and they're able to run ads again for a little while. So with Google, the AI, is learning every day, and it has the ability to learn at a much faster rate than us humans, us SEO experts. So it's something that I do not recommend. But yes, again, it is a lot of fun because as an SEO expert, you're putting in a lot of hours, even if you can afford to hire other employees that you manage or independent contractors. You're still putting in a ridiculous amount of time managing them, making sure the work is quality, making sure that they're not, teetering on the edge of that black hat SEO cliff. So there's a lot that goes into it. So of course, naturally, I'm always looking for ways to automate, to speed up the process, to improve the process. As an independent SEO professional, I'm competing against tens of thousands of SEO companies and SEO experts around the world. So with that being said, it's very challenging. All right, it's a lot of work. Moving on to the next point that I was hoping to make about Black Hat SEO is this. Black Hat SEO, there you can just do a quick Google search and find 100 Black Hat SEO tips that you can implement and try. And the only advice that I would give to you, if you are motivated in that way to test out these old school Black Hat tricks and tips, is to do it up under a different brand, maybe a Yahoo email, or God forbid, maybe an AOL email, and have a different name. Don't use your name, and then test it out on a different host. Use the VPN so you have a different IP address. Really take it seriously, right? There are a lot of these Black Hat SEO experts that are doing really well on YouTube, but they're not doing really well in Google. So if you do a search for SEO keywords that these companies rank for, you'll find that they're not ranking for anything on the first page of Google. And so you have to ask yourself, what is SEO again? SEO stands for search engine optimization. That really doesn't tell you much, really. So what is SEO? SEO is a marketing strategy that's used to rank a website and or a piece of content like an article, an image, a video, a podcast, a document, a slideshow, an infographic. So SEO is ranking one or all of those pieces of content in Google, usually it's Google, in Google for a relevant SEO keyword phrase. And you ask, okay, what is relevant? Relevant means to me, so I'm an SEO expert. I own 5 different SEO related companies. One of them is renowebdesigner.com. So as an example, if you went to Google and you searched Reno is a city, it's Reno. So if you search for Reno SEO expert, you'll see that I'm ranked number 1, probably number 3, number 5 on the first page of Google for this keyword phrase. Why is that highly relevant SEO for me? Well, the search volume for Reno SEO expert is about 500 people a month. And that equates to 3 or 4 new clients for me every month, just for that keyword phrase. So that's relevant for me. It's also relevant for the 500 or more people every month in the Reno, Nevada area that search for Reno SEO expert. So that's useful, that's relevant. Now, what is an example of an SEO keyword phrase that is not relevant, that is not useful? It would be something like 835, button my shoes, something just nonsensical. It's easy. I can rank for a nonsensical keyword in a couple of hours on Google, and I could be number 1. If it's a non-relevant keyword, that means that it doesn't have any search volume and or it doesn't have enough search volume to be worth your time to rank for that keyword. So the reason why it only takes me a couple of hours to rank for a keyword that doesn't have any search volume is because it's easy. It just takes me like, 20 minutes worth of work, if that. But if you needed me to rank you for a keyword that has 1,000 searches a month, that could take me a month or 2, right? So when you're requesting SEO quotes from different SEO companies, you need to keep this in mind. You need to not only think about the keywords that are relevant for your business in your industry and relevant to your customers, but you also need to be considering what keywords are relevant to that SEO expert that I'm looking to go into contract with. It should be anything related to, you guessed it, SEO. So how do you check to see if the SEO company that you're working with actually uses SEO to acquire customers? There's a huge difference. I can go on some of these large directory websites or company review sites and pay 10 grand a month and be number 1 for who is the best SEO expert in the world. That isn't SEO. That's paid placement. It's different. SEO is getting a piece of content from your website to rank number 1, if you can, or number 2, number 3, for a relevant keyword in Google in the organic click section. So if you do a search for anything in Google, let's see, what would be a good term? Like a new car, like I'm looking for a new Tesla. And if you search Tesla Bay Area, it will, the Google search algorithm will display all the companies on the first page of Google that did SEO to be on the first page of Google for that keyword phrase. More than likely, being that this is extremely competitive keyword term, you're going to see ads at the top. Those people use paid placement. That is not SEO. The people that show up on the map section and the businesses that show up directly underneath the map section, they did something called SEO. So when you're looking for an SEO company, and if you click those ads at the top, those ads are from companies that probably didn't know how to do SEO, and that's why they had to pay $20 a click to get someone to hire them. I've been doing SEO for, 24 years. I've talked to thousands of people a year for decades. And I've learned that if I could do something shady, I'd probably be a very rich person right now, which I'm doing pretty good, but I'm not a millionaire as of yet. But what these companies are doing is this: they're running ads on pay-per-click, or they're paying X amount of dollars to Clutch or G2 Crowd or Expertise to be listed as the best whatever it is in their industry, which is great, good for them. That is digital marketing, but it is not SEO. So the point that I am wanting to make here is this: if you're looking to hire an SEO expert, you need to make sure that they actually are using SEO for their own company's website, right? Make sure that they at least know how to do SEO for their own company. I get so many calls, every week from companies saying, oh, we paid so-and-so and we didn't get anywhere or nothing. We paid for them for, $1,500 a month for a year or $7,000 a month for a year, and they got nothing out of it. And So I see that there is a huge need for small and large companies to have some kind of service that helps validate SEO experts before they go into contract with them. So, that's one of my passions, just I really want to help these companies understand how to vet an SEO. Because think about it, if you are not a seasoned SEO expert yourself, but you need an SEO, how are you going to know what the heck to ask them? You can ask them a bunch of technical stuff like, how does JavaScript help SEO? Or is it better to build a website in HTML or WordPress, to achieve? You can ask all of these technical things, but they can hop on Google and do a quick Google search and then answer that question for you and really not understand what they just said. But if you can look at a website that they own, you can validate that they own the domain name with a simple who is search. And then if you pop their website address into even a free keyword research tool like Ubersuggest, Neil Patel's Ubersuggest, it'll tell you pretty much what keywords they rank for. You can sort by SEO and the first 10 positions, right? And because the first 10 positions mean those keywords are on the first page of Google. And those are the only ones that really count, right? So you want to work with an SEO expert that is already ranking on the first page for very relevant keywords. You don't want to trust an SEO expert that's on page 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9 because they're just learning SEO. And you're paying them to learn, and they might learn, they might not. SEO is hard. And, so there are a lot of people that think, oh, I'm going to get rich with owning an SEO company. And they get started on it and they get a few wins, and then it gets hard. Then the algorithm updates, or they lose all their or there's something that happens that's awful, or their site gets hacked every day because they have SEO competitors with larger budgets really harassing you. There's a lot of things that come up in your way, and a lot of people just give up and quit. So the point that I'm making is this: you don't want to invest all this time and money with an SEO person or a company. It could even be a famous SEO expert that doesn't know how to rank for anything. You don't want to waste your time or money, right? So anywho, okay, so I've been talking for about 17 minutes, and I think I'm going to stop here and then test and see how quickly I can rank for the keyword SEO, or see what related relevant SEO terms that I can rank for. And then I can use that data to scale. All right. Hey, have a good Sunday. Nice chatting with you all.